In today's video, I will be talking about my journey with the same psychiatrist for 9 years and what I learned from that experience and how to advocate for yourself better in the mental health field. Hi, I'm Marissa, and I share about my mental health journey and about things I'm going through in life. So I've been pretty open about my nervous breakdowns or my mental health breakdowns on here, and that's kind of why I started sharing on my channel, is because I felt it was really important for others to know that they're not alone on their own journey and that these things happen and that it's okay. And today I wanted to talk about a piece of my story that I think is one of the reasons for my breakdown last year. I'm not saying it's the only reason. There were other factors, I'm sure, but I think that this is one of the big reasons. I'm not a doctor. Obviously, I want to preface this with saying that, and I'm only speaking from experience. Take that with a grain of salt. I'm not a medical professional. But I want to set the scene real quick. I saw my first therapist in college after my dad passed away, and then I started seeing a therapist more regularly after I had my first baby back in 2016. Well, he was born in 2016, so I started seeing a therapist in 2017. And under her care, she recommended I see a psychiatrist to get on some type of pharmaceutical meds to help me out because I was in a really deep and dark place. Postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and also it was such a traumatic time that I was experiencing PTSD from other times of my life that I had essentially just like shoved under the rug and never processed or revisited since they'd happened. Once I met that psychiatrist, I was with him for 9 years. I never asked questions. I would just tell him my symptoms. He would give me a script and I'd be out the door. It never really felt like an investigation into my care or an investigation into my symptoms. It just felt like a robotic transaction. I would tell him a few things. He would tip tap on his end and tell me, okay, I recommend this medication at this dosage. And I would accept and I would leave with the script. It felt more like maintenance rather than care. But I trusted it. I trusted it because we're taught to, I think. We're taught that they're professionals and that they know what they're doing and that they're right. But under that care, I had 2 breakdowns. One not so intense, one pretty intense. That's the one where I ended up joining a PHP program in order to get better because I couldn't handle it. I've learned some lessons under their care in the last 9 years, and I wanted to share that with you today. Lesson number 1. If you're still struggling, it could be wrong treatment. It doesn't mean that you're broken. The entire time that I was medicated under their care, I never thought that the meds weren't working. I just thought it was me on the meds. I thought that I wasn't working hard enough with the medication in order to help myself. And I normalized that feeling. I normalized not feeling well. I just assumed this is what it's like. This is what everyone feels like every day. This is normal. Life was hard. And I just thought that was how it was supposed to be. There is a difference between having hard circumstances and your treatment not working. Because you could have already gone through your hard circumstances and trying to get better, but the medication you're on is keeping your thoughts in the circumstances you were at before, even though you're not in those circumstances anymore. It's not a personal failing if the medication isn't working. It's honestly just information. It just means that it's not the right medication for you. There's nothing wrong with you. And that was a hard pill to swallow. Because all my life I thought there was something wrong with me, of course. So how could I even get that thought process of, it's not me, it's the pills. The second lesson that I feel is an important one that I learned is that we're taught to outsource our experiences. Even though doctors are the experts in medicine and they know what they're talking about out of a book, you are still the expert of your own body, and you have your intuition to work with and your own perception and experiences. And I feel like sometimes in mental health care specifically, you can start to doubt your own perceptions. Under his care, all of the 9 years, I would just think to myself, well, he's a professional. He knows what he's talking about. I must just not be working hard enough. I was guilting myself this whole time. Sometimes I feel like doctors will dampen our intuition because it's not something they can prove with their books. And when that happens, I think it's time to move on and find a new doctor and find one that will actually listen to you and whatever you're saying, and let that also guide them in your healing journey. I don't think our intuition should be dismissed, especially when it comes to mental health care. What made me finally say enough is enough under this doctor's care was that I was on a cocktail of medication for 9 months with no end in sight. No one was ever trying to reduce the doses or remove any from my list. I was just kind of on them, and I would explain my symptoms, and he would just maybe up and down the dosages a little bit, but never really talked about removing any of them. And I was so numb to everything for several months, and I just thought that that was a time period I had to get through. I thought that was just part of the healing process, and I felt guilty for feeling that way because I thought these medications were supposed to help me and work based on my symptoms and the things that I was telling them. And I just didn't feel heard. And at some point, I decided to wean off gently from the medications I was on and raw dog life for a few weeks, couple of months. I don't remember how long it was. And I felt it all. I felt all my emotions. It was up and down for a while, and it was really tough to manage, but I knew that the care I was under was not the right care for me and that things had to change. And I realized that my daily life was really hard to manage for me without being medicated, but I knew that whatever I was on before was not going to work for me. I decided to start over. I had a huge fear of starting over in my life in general, as you can tell, because I was in one career for many years, stuck with this doctor for many years. Had my therapist not retired, I probably would still be with her. I just finally faced that fear and decided to find a new doctor. And it felt so empowering to make that choice for myself. I chose a doctor to go for myself instead of picking someone that somebody else told me about, that I trusted their opinion, and I just went with it. And I think maybe that's the difference, is like it was me doing the work for myself rather than letting somebody else do the work for me. No one's going to come and save you at the end of the day, really. You have to kind of know how to save yourself. Lesson number 4, you will know it's the right doctor when you meet them. With my initial doctor I was seeing, my initial psychiatrist, I would have like knots in my stomach before our phone calls. I would always get this weird feeling about myself when I talked to him, and never really felt fully comfortable under their care. And the experience with my new doctor from the first appointment felt so different in my body and in just how it went in general. They were actually asking me questions and listening to my answers, and they were digging deeper into some of the things that I was telling them. It felt really good to be heard and for them to want to know all the details of things that happened in my life. And the funny thing is that based on the medication I've been put on now, my diagnosis is not even the same as it was before, which is incredibly validating, to be honest with you, because I have had these thoughts in my head that this could potentially be it myself, and I've voiced it to my previous doctor, but I never felt heard, and I was dismissed. Without even saying that to this new doctor, they put me on a medication for that, and I'm actually feeling good. Not just good, I feel like a human person. I feel like a human who can manage life. I feel like a human that can live and not have the constant fears and negative thoughts and the ups and downs in my emotional daily life. And I don't even know how to express the night and day feeling that I feel compared to before. And what a difference it makes when somebody is actually caring and empathetic to your life experiences rather than just going by a book and wanting to maintain your sanity. And lesson number 5 is that you have to learn self-advocacy. You have to know how to stand up for yourself in different situations. especially when it comes to the medical field and mental health care specifically. Ask questions out loud. If there's anything on your mind that you're unsure of, voice it. Don't just let it linger in your mind and second guess or make up your own diagnoses. Ask the questions out loud. Also, tell them when something isn't working. Say, this is not right. This doesn't feel right. Don't just accept something for what it is. The biggest takeaway is to get a second opinion and don't feel guilty about it, because a lot of doctors are just out to get your money and to just write you a script and make you be on your way. But there are doctors out there who are legit and they want to listen and want to care for you and are empathetic to your situations and really want to help you get better. And if you don't feel that with your current doctor or initial doctor, get a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, whatever it takes until you feel heard in your care. And trust the feeling when something feels off. If you're uncomfortable going into appointments with your current doctor, that's a sign. That's your body telling you that you shouldn't be interacting with this person, probably because they make you feel uneasy. So find a new doctor. It's not that big a deal. Like, there's tons of doctors out there. Unless you're in a super rural area and there's not a lot of options, in that case, I'm really sorry. But I live in a suburban area and that's what I'm experienced with, I guess. And there's a ton of resources here where I live. And that's why I feel like I can say that. So I'm really sorry if that doesn't apply to you, but try to find someone new if you can. There's a lot of virtual care nowadays too, that if you live in an area where you might not be able to access it in person, you can hopefully find virtual care as well. Remember that you are also allowed to leave a doctor who isn't helping you. It's okay to leave. And you're allowed to start over, even after 9 years under someone's care. You're allowed to start over. It's like a bad relationship. Sometimes a bad relationship just doesn't work out, even if it's been a decade and you have to break up. That's kind of what this felt like. And today, I am in such a better place. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think anyone's perfect. My moods are not perfect, but I am in such a good place in my life. I finally feel like myself, which I'm still kind of discovering who that is, but I'm feeling it. I am actually getting there, and I feel like I'm doing things that I want to do, that I'm able to do. And it's funny because trauma keeps us so stuck. Like, I would always think to myself, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I could never actually get up and do that thing. And now that I am where I am, I'm not just thinking about doing those things, I'm actually doing them. Like, I get up and I do the thing that I thought about for a while. And it's such a freeing and liberating experience, honestly. And I wish I knew sooner that it was okay to start over with a new doctor, or to say that I'm not feeling right on this medication. I really think you need to reevaluate what I'm on. Or I wish I knew that it's okay to switch doctors. Like, just none of this felt like a reality to me until I actually went through more hardships, and then I had to kind of learn it on my own. And I want to stress that this video is not anti-psychiatry, it's not anti-therapy, it's not anti-medicine. I'm actually pro all of those things. I think there's a time and place for medication. I think there's a time and place for psychiatry. There's definitely a time and place for therapy for everyone. I am pro getting the right help for what you need. Whatever that entails, I just want people to feel good in who they are and in their bodies, and not to feel how I felt. But I just want to say that you can get better. There is help out there. And if you're not feeling heard, trust that feeling. It's not nothing. It's a huge indicator. Your body is sending you signals, and you should listen to them. Thank you so much for being here and watching today's video. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that if you haven't subscribed yet, you will do that today. And a reminder that if you're on a mental health journey, you're not alone. There's help out there for you. If you need someone to talk to, you can always send me an email or find a way to DM me on TikTok or Instagram. And I'll try and help you find the right resources in your area if you need me to. I would be so happy to help someone be on their way to having a better life, because it's so important to actually live and not feel like you're stuck in your head and your body. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!